Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I hope you're having an amazing day so far. My day's going pretty good. I've just watched an hilarious video. It's absolutely hilarious. It's off topic a bit. I don't know what I'm going to title it yet. The person who emailed me the link said it was the worst chef in America, so possibly. But I'll stick the link up here. It's hilarious. If you want to see how not to cook chicken, that's the video to check out. Today we are reacting to the 11 most destructive invasive species in North America. And I'm quite animal, wildlife, nature obsessed, especially when it comes to things like snakes and stuff like that. And I know you guys in America are suffering with a lot. There's actually quite a lot of invasive species over there. You've got the Burmese Python in the Everglades. I believe there's even been some Nile crocodiles and possibly even saltwater crocodiles that have been found in there. You've also got the lionfish in the sea. You've got that Asian carp that jumps out the water, and that is crazy because I believe some people have actually been knocked unconscious, maybe possibly even died. I can't confirm that. These fish leap out the water, and the size and the weight of them, you can imagine being hit by one of those is like being hit by a sledgehammer, especially if you're cruising along in your boat. So it's quite scary stuff. And then stuff that you might not even think is that serious, like these tiny little bugs or something that just wipe out entire crops. It's quite scary, so I'm quite keen to check this out. Yeah, I love this sort of thing, so I'm hoping you do too. Don't worry, we're not going to turn into a channel completely about this sort of thing, but I'm really excited for this one. Anyway, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, and if you're feeling extra frisky, you may as well hit the like button as well. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee page and a Patreon link down in the description if you want to help support the channel. And without further ado, let's get into the 11 most destructive invasive species in North America.
Number 11. Burmese Python.
Told you.
The Burmese Python, which is among the largest snakes in the world, has become an infamous invader of the Everglades. A number of snakes spread throughout the Floridian wilderness.
I believe you can actually get bounties on them. There's bounties on them if you go out and hunt them, which is pretty interesting, really.
After Hurricane Andrew destroyed a breeding facility in 1992. However, many specimens were also released in the wild as a consequence of the exotic pet trade. These creatures can grow to be over 20 feet long. The serpents use their muscular bodies to constrict and suffocate prey. In areas where the pythons are well established, rabbits and foxes have completely disappeared. Sightings of raccoons, opossums and white-tailed are unanimously down by over 94%. The only adversaries that these snakes have in the Everglades are American alligators, which at times become either python predators or prey. Number 10. Asian giant hornet. With a wingspan that can grow to be nearly twice the size of a golf tee, the Asian giant hornet is the world's largest hornet.
Murder hornets.
These creatures have recently been making headlines in the US, where the media has dubbed them murder hornets. It's an apt description since their sting feels, as one entomologist.
Look at that sting. Whoa, that's like a needle.
It's an apt description since their sting feels, as one entomologist put it, like a hot nail was being driven into his leg. Multiple doses of their potent venom can lead to death by cardiac arrest or anaphylactic shock. Known by its scientific name as Vespa mandarinia, the creature was first reported on Vancouver Island and then in Washington. A full-scale hunt was promptly launched to prevent the hornet from spreading to the point that eradication becomes impossible. Should that happen, it would be dangerous for humans but catastrophic for honeybees. A single Asian giant hornet can use its massive mandibles to decapitate up to 40 bees per minute. In the absence of swift eradication, these creatures could decimate North America's honeybee population. Number 9. Nutria. The koi poo, also known as the nutria, is a semi-aquatic rodent capable of such destruction that marshes may be turned into open water.
There's some of those in the Czech Republic, I believe, as well. I've seen some videos go up on Facebook. Apparently, they're really good eating. You can eat them. I would give it a go. I mean, hey, it's meat. We used to eat cane rats in South Africa.
The herbivores basically look like giant rats and consume up to a quarter of their body weight every day. They'll eat the stems of above ground plants and then burrow through the organic soil. Nutrias will thus create eat-outs by removing large patches of biomass. This affects animals in the habitat, but also people who are dependent on marshes and swamps. These creatures are most abundant in Louisiana, where they were introduced in the 1930s. They were initially part of fur farms, but eventually escaped and spread, wreaking havoc on wetlands.
That's the crappy thing, isn't it? You'll hear him say probably in, I don't know, there's 11 here, probably 9 or 10 out of the 11, maybe more, maybe all of them, introduced. It's our own fault. We do it. We've had it in South Africa as well. You've got it in England with the rabbit population over there. And then they tried to introduce myxomatosis, which is a terrible disease for the rabbits. They basically just, oh, it's horrible. When you find a rabbit with myxomatosis, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's horrible. So it's down to our bloody stupidity, really.
Even though these areas only cover 5% of the contiguous landmass of the US, they're home to almost a third of all plant species. They're a valuable environmental and economical resource that's greatly threatened by Nutria herbivory. Number 8. Wild hog.
Texas, eh?
There's a distinction to be made among the North American pig populations, commonly grouped under the term wild hogs or razorbacks. The name is used in reference to actual wild boars,
that's a freaking
introduced
warthog,
in the
mate,
19th
in Africa.
century, and feral pigs, descendants of pigs that were once domestic. These pig variations may resemble each other closely and often interbreed, having a high reproductive rate. Wild hogs are among the most destructive species on the southern prairies of Canada and the United States, where their numbers are in excess of 6 million. These creatures are omnivores, and plants make up the bulk of their diet. They forage by rooting under the ground with their snout or tusks. They're a growing concern as
Have you seen the damage they can do to crops? I was actually watching a video. I know you guys are going to get irritated with me pausing. Well, sorry. The video is linked down below if you want to check it out without interruption. But this is something I find really interesting. We've got wild pig here in Slovakia as well. I think they may be native. I'm not entirely sure. I'm still learning about the animals here. But even the damage they do here, there's a cornfield where we go looking for mushrooms in the forest, and they come out and they root in that cornfield, and the damage is, it's crazy. From a little mob of pigs, it's mental the damage they do. I've seen those videos, and I think it's Texas, I might be wrong, where they're shooting them from a helicopter. They need to. It looks barbaric and cruel, but
they forage by rooting under the ground with their snout or tusks. They're a growing concern as they cause billions of dollars in property and agricultural damage every year. Wild hogs fragment habitats, prey on local fauna, and are known to attack humans. Moreover, they're host to over 34 pathogens transmittable to humans, wildlife, and livestock. One enforced control method has been shooting them from a helicopter.
It's crazy.
It's legal in Texas, the state most abundant in wild hogs. Number 7. Africanized bee.
Killer bees.
It seemed only appropriate that since we've covered murder hornets, we also give killer bees a spot on our list. The Africanized honeybee was introduced in Brazil in the late 1950s in an attempt to enhance honey production. Several dozen swarms escaped quarantine, spread throughout Latin America, and reached North America in the mid-1980s. Killer bees are faster and stronger than their European counterparts. As such, they're perfectly capable of taking over hives, whether through mating or force, and of outcompeting them. Studies have shown that they can work longer in harsher conditions and that they're more resistant to parasites. All these attributes make Africanized killer bees superior honey producers. However, they're much more aggressive and dangerous to humans. They'll attack perceived threats more readily, in greater numbers, and pursue them farther.
We lost a dog to bees.
Victims sustain up to 10 times more stings and may die from allergic reactions or by injuries sustained while trying to get away. Number 6. Red lionfish. Petrolis voltains, commonly known as the red lionfish, has become a significant invader in the Caribbean and on the east coast of the United States. The lionfish is named after the mane-like grouping of venomous spines on its body. These are redoubtable defensive weapons. Although typically non-fatal to humans, the sting of a red lionfish is incredibly painful and can cause headaches, vomiting,
apparently very delicious
and
as well,
breathing
those fish.
These creatures were introduced off the
Sorry, you'll notice I say you could eat most, because you can. I mean, that's one way of solving a problem, or helping to solve the problem as well, because chances are once they're in there, it's really difficult to eradicate them. And I've actually seen some videos where they go down and they'll spear them, and yeah, they eat them, and apparently they're really good eating. I wouldn't know, I've never tasted them. I've seen lionfish in aquariums before, and I think they're beautiful, but yeah, there's obviously a time and a place where you belong, and you don't belong there, bud.
coast of Florida in the mid-1980s, most likely as a result of the aquarium trade.
That one looks mean ass.
Most of the larger fish in the Atlantic and the Caribbean avoid them because of their spines, but also because they've yet to recognize them as prey. Consequently, these ferocious feeders have outcompeted many of the native species. This is further underlined by the fact that red lionfish tend to be more massive in areas where they aren't indigenous. Number 5. Giant African land snail. The giant African land snail is the most frequently occurring invasive snail species in the world. It's also among the most destructive, and a creature which, in the United States, has been given top national quarantine significance.
I know that.
That's because the snail is host to a number of pathogens.
I'm just going to pause one more, because I was actually replying to a comment this morning, and a guy was saying how he tricked his nephew into eating an eye from a hog roast. He ate one and he was trying to hold back his vomit, so his nephew ate one. My uncle did something similar with a bloody giant African land snail in South Africa. He pulled it off the wall, or it was on the floor, saying he pretended to lick it and stick it back on the wall. And me being the little kid, I licked the bottom of this, like the whole length of it, licked it, tried to stick it, wouldn't stick, and I kept doing it, until my mother saw what was actually going on and stopped me, because I was getting angry it wouldn't stick. So yeah, just a random coincidence that it came up.
As well as humans. One of them is a nematode that causes meningitis.
Holy shit.
Merely handling the snail species carries the risk of infection. It's considered to be a highly destructive pest, as it feeds on a wide variety of fruits, vegetables, and plant material. It's a creature with an insatiable appetite that extends far beyond organic material. It also feeds on cardboard, paper, sand, and very small stones. The giant African land snail may even damage buildings by consuming stucco, concrete, and other similar materials as a source of calcium. It's a rare occurrence, but the snail species is also known for cannibalism. Number 4. Nile monitor lizard. For years, the exotic pet trade has been a growing concern in Florida. The state is home to more invasive species than any other region in the country. Even enormous reptile specimens like the Nile crocodile have been found in the Floridian wilderness.
Told you.
There are no signs, however, that Nile crocodiles have established breeding populations. Nile monitor lizards, on the other hand, have managed to do so, particularly in Lee County. These creatures have a generalist diet that translates into disaster for indigenous species. Additionally, they've been connected to livestock and pet disappearances. Lizards have a high
Bullshit. I lived in South Africa, where we get Nile monitors everywhere, and we had a farm. We never lost a cow, a sheep, a goat, a chick, maybe chicks. That's about it to a Nile monitor. Livestock and pets, no chance. They're big, but they're not that big.
production.
Maybe a small dog, one of those little teacup
fresh
things.
And salt water. Number 3. Asian tiger mosquito. It's widely known that mosquitoes kill more people per year than any other living being on Earth. According to recent estimates, there are over 1 million human deaths from mosquito bites recorded each year. In the early 1980s, a particularly dangerous type of mosquito found its way to the US in a shipment of used tires. The Asian tiger mosquito then steadily spread to 40 states and is expected to continue its expansion. This creature draws its name from the striking black and white pattern on its body. It has a rapid bite that often allows the mosquito to escape without being swatted. Females lay their eggs basically wherever there's water to be found, whether it's running or in stagnant pools. Less than an ounce of water is sufficient for the development of larvae. Since it's remarkably adaptable, lives close to humans, and because of its reproductive biology, the mosquito is nearly impossible to control. A 2019 study in Nature Microbiology analyzed future trends such as urbanization human expansion, and climate change. The study concluded that the Asian tiger mosquito population was likely to continue growing in the coming decades. It's a grim prognosis since the insects are known transmitters of yellow fever, chikungunya fever, and dengue fever, as well as viruses like Usutu and Zika. Today's topic was requested by Base for Prez. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Asian Longhorn Beetle. In the United States alone, the Asian Longhorn Beetle has the potential of destroying nearly a third of all urban trees. This in turn would cause $669 billion in economic loss. This creature, endemic to China and Korea, was accidentally introduced through solid wood packaging material. The Asian longhorn beetle destroys trees to such an extent that it changes both forest and urban.
Mosquitoes introduced by tire. I'm assuming the water that's collected in the tires. This beetle through packaging, like those boxes, I'd imagine. That's insane.
It's a known threat to several species of trees in North America, including birch,
they look pretty cool,
ash, poplar, and maple. Females will chew a hole through the bark of a host tree, then lay their eggs inside. The larvae may grow to be up to 2 inches or the average length of a house key. They create a feeding gallery inside the tree and progress towards the heartwood as they mature. A single larva can consume up to 60 cubic inches of wood in its lifetime, which is more than half the size of the average human stomach. Eradication involves removing infected trees and treatment with insecticides. In 2019, New York City declared the creature eradicated after a battle that lasted roughly 23 years. Nevertheless, the Asian longhorn beetle is still prevalent in many areas, with infected trees being constantly discovered. Join the They Will Kill You team by rocking the latest merch from They Spread the Word.
Come on, where's number 1?
Number 1. European Starling.
They didn't put that carp in? That carp is freaking spreading like wildfire, man. I can't believe they didn't put that fish in. The Asian carp or whatever it is.
The mind-boggling spread of the European starling across North America can be traced back to a single man. In 1890, amateur ornithologist Eugene Schieferlin released 60 of these birds in New York Central Park. The backstory is that he was trying to introduce to North America every bird mentioned in the works of William Shakespeare. In the years that followed, those initial 60 birds grew to a population of over 150 million. They're currently distributed from southern Canada and Alaska throughout the US and into Central America. These birds form huge flocks that ravage plantations of olives, currants, tomatoes, peaches, grapes, and many more. The agricultural damage in the US is estimated at $800 million each year. The enormous starling flocks are also dangerous when it comes to air traffic, as they might get sucked into aircraft jet engines. One such incident occurred in Boston in 1960 when a turboprop airliner flew into a flock and then crashed into Winthrop Harbor. Thanks for watching. Would you rather?
Right, I'm a bit shocked. There was at least one that I can think of at the top of my head. I thought that Asian carp or whatever I'm sure it's Asian carp, the one that jumps out the water in the rivers over there, I'm sure that's a serious problem. There's even been like documentaries on it. I'm really surprised it didn't make the list. There's a few on there that, like, I don't know, none really surprised or shocked me. I knew about the Burmese pythons, the lionfish, the crocodiles as well. I did know about the Nile monitors, but I didn't know that those beetles and mosquitoes and birds seem to be causing the most problems, don't they? And those wasps, what are they called? Murder wasps or murder hornets or whatever they are. Flippin' heck. Anyway, if you've got any invasive species that you can think of that they've left off this list, because they have left some off this list. I mean, I think the fish one should have been in there quite high up, because it's basically eating all that plankton that lives in the water and decimating rivers. All the other fish are dying because there's nothing left for them to eat, because the prey they eat depends on the food that these carp are eating. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm mumbling and waffling on now because I'm wound up. He forgot a fish. How stupid am I? Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.